Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to the live stream here on the channel. Just gonna make sure everything is good. We sound good, the audio's good. That's good to know. Welcome, Jim, Haley, Nancy, Caleb, Isabel. Of course, Isabel Flames Lucky. We also have Haley in here, and classic YouTube channel. You guys did see the screen go black for a second. I was taking a screenshot of what Isabel said. I sent it to Lucky. We'll see what he says. Lucky will not be joining for this live stream. However, he will be live on his channel just shy of 11 o'clock Eastern for the 00Z update model runs. So yeah, glad to see you guys all in here. I probably forgot a few of you, but welcome to the stream. I'll just go through everybody again, so I make sure I welcomed all y'all. Haley, Indiana, Caleb, Nancy, Jim, Isabel, classic YouTube channel. Glad to see you guys all in here, as well as everyone else who is watching it and not chatting. Glad to have you here as well. Caden, glad to see you in here. Let's go ahead and go back to our main scenes like we've been doing, of course. We're going to actually switch to, actually, bear with me. Alrighty, we do not have a tornado warning. I was a bit unaware of what was happening in the weather world. I've been looking at just model runs over the last couple of hours here, just watching these, specifically the HWRF model, seeing what that's doing with this hurricane, or soon-to-be hurricane. We now have Tropical Storm, I believe, Ernesto, if I'm saying that correctly. This is Tropical Storm Ernesto out here. Very, very, very rapidly moving out to the west, going to make a landfall in the northern Lesser Antilles, Leeward Islands, make a direct landfall over Puerto Rico, then begin to move northeastward, and probably have a near miss, if not a direct impact to Bermuda as well. So we're going to be keeping a really close eye on that tropical storm, of course, Ernesto back there. We also have another tropical wave out here, just slightly off your screen, coming off of South, or rather just Africa there. That, I don't think will do much. We also have some spinning convection in the Gulf. Really not a whole lot to watch in either the Gulf or out here in the main development region, aside from, of course, you know, Tropical Storm Ernesto there. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive on into our National Hurricane Center cone. I'll go ahead and pull that up for you guys right now. We actually have the new National Hurricane Center cone. Here is how you access it. So once you go to the National Hurricane Center cone page here, it's called the Warnings and Cone Images. You'll see this big red text click here for new experimental cone. And boom, this is your new cone of uncertainty that the National Hurricane Center now issues. It includes inland warnings. So this will be very useful for the United States. For instance, with our tropical storm, oh boy, Debbie. It eventually, of course, came a hurricane. As it hit Florida, we would have been able to see the tropical storm warnings that extended inland on the National Hurricane Center's map if this experimental cone of uncertainty went into effect, back when Debbie made landfall. But yeah, you can see if I switch between these two images, it's going to be a little bit difficult to tell. But most specifically on Puerto Rico, you could see how right at my cursor, there's a bit of, white indicating land, and then the blue indicating your tropical storm warning. If we go to the new cone, you'll notice that's gone. You can see now the whole entire island of Puerto Rico there is under blue on this new experimental cone. So we'll continue to monitor that very, very closely. We'll see if they expand these to hurricane watches or not. I do want to pull up Radar Omega. Actually wasn't going to pull it up today, but I suppose I will, thanks to its cone of uncertainty. So that's your forecast cone of uncertainty there. You can see we are looking at a Category 2 hurricane still, with wind speeds of 110 miles per hour as this approaches Bermuda. And then if we go back one, you can see as this goes towards Friday, they actually have it being 110 for both of those. So they have it maintaining intensity. I have a feeling that's more of just due to uncertainty as opposed to it actually probably maintaining 110 mile per hour winds. But there will be a phase of rapid intensification. Once this goes north of Puerto Rico and goes south of Bermuda, we should see this intensify from a mid-tier tropical storm all the way to a mid-tier Category 2 hurricane in the span of generally about 24-ish hours there. Let me see. You're welcome, Mama. Glad to see you back in here. Hopefully everybody's having a great day. I'm gonna go over to here really fast. I know our model runs reset, so I want to quickly check that. All right, we're going to go over our model runs before they reset because they might end up doing so. First, I'll switch you all on over to this here. So there is our satellite. Actually, I'll switch you all over here. I want to show you guys your satellite imagery a bit more here. So here's a low pressure east of Bermuda. We have this high pressure that's setting up over Texas that will continue to set up over the next couple of days. And that's what's eventually going to bring us a potential severe weather threat out for Missouri, Arkansas. I drew that a little bit further to the south. We'll go over that a little bit later. But yeah, I wanted to mention the Eastern Pacific. Let me go ahead and just look at their probabilities for a tropical system out there in the next 7 days, if they even have anything. EPAC, and yeah, they do not. So there's just a few not really notable tropical waves out here in the Eastern Pacific. Wow, that is crazy. Let me go ahead and switch back over to here so I could show y'all. Here is the National Hurricane Center, and they actually no longer have anything expected for the next 7 days. So that is actually shocking, considering how we went from 4 tropical storms active now down to literally not even an AOI out here. That is actually something. I'm pretty surprised by that one. But here's your HWRF model. We'll start with that because it's normally one of the more aggressive, and it's also, in my opinion, one of the best model runs out there. And here is tonight, August 12th, the HWRF here in about 6-ish hours has us getting down to a 1007 millibar tropical storm. Let me see what it's currently at for a millibar. It is down to 1009. So really, they just increased the winds by 5 miles per hour, and that's it. That's all they did with the new advisory, and that, of course, made it become a tropical storm. So the millibar is still 1009. The HWRF here thinks that it's 1008, so actually a whole 1 millibar stronger. That won't make too much of a difference. You can see it says it sustains right around mid-tier tropical storm force. HWRF actually, that's something, has to become a hurricane before it impacts Puerto Rico, and it actually makes a landfalling hurricane here in eastern Puerto Rico. So that is... that's actually quite surprising. Then rapidly intensifies it. Holy cow. I'm sorry, did I see a... wow, rapidly intensifies it to a mid-tier Category 4, if not Category 5. If not Category 5 hurricane right there on August 15th at 5 p.m. That's very aggressive. Gracious. So we go from a a low-end Category 1 hurricane on the morning of the 14th to a Category 5 hurricane in the midday hours of the 15th. You could just see how much more aggressive that is. Here's the older model run. The I believe this is the 06. Yeah, 06Z here is 961. And then here at 12Z, 934. So big difference between those two newer model runs. The 12Z is typically more accurate. And that's actually a lot more aggressive. So that's really interesting. We'll look at the HWRF and other hurricane models here, see what they have to say. And then it almost brings us right over to Bermuda. I imagine that's probably going to go just slightly to the west of Bermuda. But still, hurricane force impacts will eventually become a possibility out there in Bermuda. It's been named Ernesto, Tropical Storm Ernesto. It is actually a tropical storm right now. And let me see here. This is an HWRF model. HWRF typically overdoes intensity, so we'll see if it verifies or not. It's already nailed a good chunk of the hurricanes and tropical storms this year. It nailed both Debbie and Beryl, and I don't know what it showed for Chris because I wasn't looking at, or whatever it was. What was a tropical storm in, I forgot what it was, Mexico? I don't know. Let me go over to HMON. Here's the HMON model run, 1006 millibar in the Lesser Antilles. That's a lot more realistic than what the HWRF has. And then a low-end tropical storm making landfall in Puerto Rico. That is a whole lot more realistic, in my opinion, than what the HWRF has. That's more towards a lower-end, or rather a mid-tier tropical storm. Then, of course, as it goes north of Puerto Rico, this is really... we're expecting this should, see if it does rapidly intensify. It sure does quite rapidly intensifies into most likely a Category 3 hurricane there on August 17th. That takes a little bit longer, though. That's not as rapid. On the morning of the 14th, or rather, we'll just start, the morning of the 14th here, actually, it takes a little bit longer. So we'll say morning of the 15th, it's down to a 988 millibar, and then the morning of the 16th, 970, so that's an 18 millibar drop. Which, I mean, that's pretty rapid, but I don't know if that's going to be rapid enough for, getting to major hurricane status or not. 956 there, most likely Cat 3. There's nothing else that's forming out in the Atlantic. I mean, there's another tropical wave behind Ernesto here, but I don't think it's going to do anything. I really don't see that being much of an issue. So I think we'll actually be after Ernesto, I think we may go into a slight lull in activity. We could go ahead and quickly check what our newer GFS model has to say here. So there's your other tropical wave that I showed you guys on satellite imagery, and that kind of just sits there and then dissipates, and nothing. Really, really quiet. Honestly, quiet for the tropics. That's something, because we're approaching peak. I believe September 10th is the direct peak of hurricane season. We have about 80% left of hurricane season to go. So we got to do everything that we just did 4 more times, and then we'll be through hurricane season. Which shows you how much more we have left here. Let me look at dry air, because I'm sure that's what's going to be the main issue here. Yeah, we get a lot of dry air in the western main development region, and probably wind shear as well. I forgot how to look at wind shear on this. Is it upper? Yeah, this one. Yeah, wind shear's actually quite the issue in the eastern main development region. You can see all the wind shear right in here. So that's actually going to help tamper off a bit more of our tropical system. So we'll see. We'll take a look at some Ensemble models, see if Ensemble's hint towards anything later down the line. As for the GFS with Ernesto here, we'll just very quickly look at that. See here. So it takes it into the Lesser Antilles as about 1009 tropical storm, very low end tropical storm. Then strengthens into a mid to upper end tropical storm for Puerto Rico. And then rapidly intensifies into a category, maybe either a high end category 2 or a category 3 hurricane there as it goes just barely off to the west of Bermuda. Then it gets picked up by the trough and has a very, very close near miss with Nova Scotia as we go to August 19th there. And then after that, we get into Fantasyland to the point where we don't want to look at it, really. GFS does GFS things, of course. Let's go to the European. I haven't looked at this one. I just teased it there. 1009 tropical storm landfall over the northern Lesser Antilles. No strengthening at all. Another landfall is a very low-end tropical storm over Puerto Rico. Then very gradual strengthening as it approaches Bermuda. And then eventually tries to rapidly intensify. Gets to about a Category 2 status there. And then actually manages to push Category 3 status out there, dead east of the New England states, which is interesting. I don't think it will be Category 3 out that far to the east-northeast. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's go back over to our hurricane models. Let's go to the HAFSA, see what that has to show. I just showed it there. So actually, shockingly strengthens it quite a bit to a more of mid-tier tropical storm for landfall in the northern Lesser Antilles. Weakens it just slightly due to that landfall. Strengthens it slightly more, possibly even as high intensity as a low-end Cat 1 there, just east of Puerto Rico. And then here comes that rapid intensification phase, going from 981 all the way to 970. Wow, actually not that rapid. Yeah, only about a 10 millibar drop there on the HAFSA there, which is kind of shocking. Thought I was going to see like a 930 or something. All right, let's go to the HAFSB here. Tropical storm landfall on the northern Lesser Antilles. Tries to strengthen. It goes just off to the east of Puerto Rico as a tropical storm still, and slowly strengthens into a probably Category 2 hurricane, maybe borderline Cat 3. And look at that. Actually, that takes it directly over Bermuda as a likely major hurricane on August 12th. I believe that's the first model I've seen today that actually has a major hurricane making landfall out there in Bermuda. Did I see the simulated infrared? No, not of the HWRF model. All right, we're going to go and look at that cone of uncertainty again whilst I get up these ensemble model runs. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. A friendly reminder to hit that like button, share the stream with your family, friends, social media, help spread weather awareness about this system. If you live in the U.S., you're going to be safe from this storm. There is a chance, very slim chance, but a chance that this could recurve back up in towards like Maine, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, kind of like what Lee did. That's still not fully off the table. We'll take a look at some of our ensembles, see if they're no longer showing that. But I still think it's at least a small possibility. Most likely, this is going to be a complete miss for the eastern seaboard of the U.S. Now, still going to have some rip currents. Wouldn't recommend going to the beach over the next week or so, especially as this gets parallel of North Carolina and South Carolina. Could cause some pretty rough rip currents and surf out there. But there's our cone of uncertainty. So, like I said, tropical storm landfall, most likely on the northern Lesser Antilles there, right around the Virgin Islands as well. And then, of course, moving into Puerto Rico. Look at that, a bunch of blue for Puerto Rico. All of Puerto Rico under tropical storm warnings. I didn't even know Radar Mega showed tropical storm warnings or any tropical warnings at all for Puerto Rico there. I guess they do because it's and there's a National Weather Service out there. But there's tropical storm warnings for Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands as well. We may see hurricane watches for the northern side of Puerto Rico, depending on how strong this storm gets. But I doubt it. I don't think it's going to be able to push hurricane strength until after it leaves Puerto Rico and then begins to make its journey up towards Bermuda. All right, let me go ahead and pull up the ensembles here. We'll go for the GEFS. Okay. Preferably today's 12Z. Alrighty, so here is your ensembles. Okay, some of them do a funny thing there. Here's your GEFS ensemble model runs or ensemble guidance. There's a guarantee that we're going to see this thing hit the Lesser Antilles. Whether or not it makes landfall is just going to be depending on exactly where that low pressure goes. It might end up going in between some of the Leeward Islands there. But really good agreement on this storm impacting the northern Lesser Antilles, Leeward Islands, Virgin Islands, maybe even as far as the eastern Dominican Republic, most of Puerto Rico as well. And then our uncertainty becomes very, very high on this turn. Really, really going to depend on exactly how far west this goes. If we do see the southeastern Bahamas there get impacted with potentially, we could see up to tropical storm force winds for the Bahamas. We're not fully out of the wind up there just yet. But Bermuda, it's what we're most worried about. You can see a whole lot of different ensemble model runs here. A lot of them take it to the east of Bermuda. A lot of them take it to the west of Bermuda. And then just a handful take it right towards Bermuda. But none of them make landfall in Bermuda. Just like we had yesterday, not a single ensemble making landfall there in Bermuda. But a lot of close calls with definitely... I don't see a way how we don't see at least tropical storm impacts there in Bermuda. Whether this goes really far west or east, we should still see impacts. And still on the table. Still on the table there, you have a few ensembles that curve right into Nova Scotia, Maine, New Brunswick. So there's still a few that curve it very, very close to the New England states, the U.S. there. Let's go look at our European ensembles. Preferably not this far east. This is very, very far east. Let's go back over here. We'll zoom in like this. I don't want to zoom in like that. It's going to make me, huh? We're going to zoom back out. I hate the interface of this. So that's the one reason why I don't use it. There you go. There's our ensembles for the European model. And like I said, really good agreement on this turn, of course, occurring. Tropical storm force wind speeds in the northern Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, eastern Dominican Republic. And then an intensification phase, potentially even a rapid intensification phase as this approaches the Dominican Republic, or not Dominican Republic, leaves Dominican Republic, approaches Bermuda. Not nearly as many outliers here. You do see one that takes this pretty close to actually North Carolina, Massachusetts, but then brings it right back in to follow the rest of them. That's just one ensemble outlier there, but the majority of these do have it taking that turn right on out to sea after impacting Bermuda. So still need to keep a very close eye on that. I wouldn't fully let your guard down if you're in the New England states, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. We still could see a landfalling system out there. And regardless of what happens with this storm, we're going to be seeing some rip currents along the entire eastern seaboard of the U.S. So, like I said, probably want to avoid the beaches this upcoming weekend here. Saturday, Friday night into all of Saturday will be the impact time for Bermuda. So that's going to be when your surfs are going to be the worst here along the eastern seaboard. So I highly recommend not going to the beach this weekend due to that reason. And let's go ahead and look back at the GFS really fast. GFS ensembles here just to see 12Z. Does 12Z not have everything loaded in? I don't know what that's on about. Yeah, there you go. 336 hours out. Yeah, I mean, you have some signals, like 3-4 ensembles that have a wave potentially forming off of Africa towards the middle portion of August here. This is the... Holy moly, this is the very late end portion of August. This is like August 26th over here. So not a lot of confidence at all with activities starting to spark up in the main development region. We have this tropical storm Ernesto, and then we'll see if we're maybe less active. I don't want to say quiet, but maybe we'll end up being a little bit less active for the later portion of August here. The storm wave behind Ernesto caught me by surprise. Yeah, I did see that. We just looked at that. You're talking about... I'll go ahead and throw y'all over to this screen. This wave right here. Make sure y'all can see that. Yes, that wave. I mean, it's a little tropical wave. I don't think it's going to do anything because there's a lot of wind shear and dry air out in this area. I believe dry air is going to be the limiting factor for that tropical system. It's tropical wave, I should say. It's really not going to do a thing. Maybe some light rain for fish out there, but that's about it. And then we just have a lot of convection elsewhere. Just a lot of ordinary thunderstorm activity elsewhere. I still think we could see a couple systems spin up in the EPAC. I don't see anything that looks really good at the moment. We'll go ahead and switch back over to this. Go over to our Eastern Pacific. I actually haven't... Okay, there's the EPAC. Yeah, so you can see a whole lot of activity. Whole lot of activity there in the Eastern Pacific on the GFS ensembles. See if the European has that as well. And not nearly as much on the European model. The GFS is always throwing a whole lot more activity out here in the Eastern Pacific. So we could very easily see a tropical storm spark up here in the EPAC. I mean, for the rest of August, but I don't think we'll see any landfalling systems this month, or at least at the moment, I don't see anything that will threaten land out here in the Eastern Pacific. If we do see something making landfall, of course, it's going to be in like Baja California, as well as the far western side of Mexico. But we probably won't see anything make landfall out there in August, at least. Not from what I can tell. I mean, we may have one of them surprise systems that spark up out of nowhere. We'll just see. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take this off of here and see what else I have here. I mean, that's really about it. We just went through the whole update. Just to brief y'all on that, if you're just tuning in, model runs are really all over the place for intensity, but there's really three key things between all the model runs. Tropical storm's going to hit the northern Lesser Antilles, tropical storm will hit Puerto Rico, and then we'll see some sort of most likely rapid intensification phase north of Puerto Rico from a tropical storm to a Category 2 or 3 hurricane. And that's when models become most uncertain, just after that. Right about this point here. Some ensembles are going to take it more to the west of Bermuda, some to the east, some right down in the middle, with some very close calls to Bermuda. That's when our uncertainty becomes very high, which we won't really know anything about if Bermuda is going to get directly impacted until this turn is complete. So you're looking at Wednesday, Thursday, most likely Thursday, before we can talk about any notable impacts for Bermuda. But if I'm in Bermuda, like I said, tropical storm impacts are most likely going to be a very, very real possibility. Currently, the NHC is forecasting a very, very close landfall for Bermuda at a Category 2 hurricane. That's winds of 110 miles per hour, which is just 6 shy from major hurricane status. Let me see here. Okay. I want to go ahead and quickly check this up here. We have a special weather statement. That's nothing. Just make sure you're not outside. 30-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah, you simply don't go outside if you're in that. It's in Connecticut. Anything up here? We had a couple severes earlier today. These are just really ordinary severes. Oh, that one is considerable for 1.75-inch hail. Just like yesterday, huh? Just like yesterday, you can see a little hook already forming on that with an outflow boundary to its south. A little bit of cell merge action happening there. Doesn't look tornadic at the moment. Mainly elevated, but it could very easily become surface-based. So, I mean, you have a little indent here. We'll see if it keeps with that indent or if it falls apart. It's going to try to do exactly what we saw yesterday, almost in the same area. Our storm really started to spark up yesterday out here, south of Sterling, just to the west of Ray. Whereas, you know, today it's up here well in the southwestern portion of Nebraska. Alrighty, so yeah, we'll keep a very, very close eye on this system. I'll of course have another live update tomorrow. Let me see when this is gonna make landfall. So probably gonna be looking at about a did I read that right? Yeah, you're probably going to be looking at like a 8 a.m., if not just barely before landfall. So we'll need to keep a close eye on that. I don't know if we'll be streaming that. We'll definitely be live as this passes by Puerto Rico. I don't think we'll be live at 2 a.m., but we'll be live as this like nears Puerto Rico or passes it somewhere in between here, so that way we can see Ernesto with Puerto Rico's radar site. We do have another radar site, of course, that we can use. The Leeward Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, I believe, have some radars out there. So let's see if we can actually access that. Yes, so actually we already have a view of Ernesto. We can actually just see a bunch of convection here. I believe Bridgetown has a radar site. Let's see if we can pull that up. It's probably going to be very low quality here. Yeah, Barbados has a radar. Can I zoom this in or no? Not going to be able to, but this is from barbadosweather.org. Oh, look, a satellite map. No thanks. Actually, let me pull it up on... I just thought of this. Here's Windy. There you go. Here's windy.com. Much better. So you can see we have some radar coverage out here. That's Barbados, of course. And Barbados has a radar site that goes in this general area here. So you can see the eastern side of... or actually the western side of Ernesto here. Really not a lot of organized convection. It's just a blob. It's just a blob. That it looks like that on satellite too, just a blob. I did not see any auroras yesterday, and I also just realized my threat level is too high. I just realized that threat level. We are at a level 1 marginal risk today. I didn't see any auroras. I might try tonight, but I don't know. It's pretty difficult for me to see auroras down here. The only aurora I've ever seen is the one earlier this year, around like May 10th or so. We don't see them this far south. I looked outside. There wasn't many clouds. Used my camera, but I might have had a very faint glow, but nothing I stayed up for. Oh, you saw it last night? Wow. What time was it your time? I didn't stay up too late. I don't really, I'm not going to go out of my way to stay up late for auroras. This is your GFS model on Windy. You guys can actually use Windy for multiple things. It's actually very, very useful. I don't use it as much as I probably should, but it's a very, very cool site. Go ahead and switch over to this. There we go. 2 a.m. Okay, yeah. I was not up at 3 a.m. my time. I was out by right after midnight. I was out. Actually, I texted Lucky just before. Yeah, 12:30. Let me see here. All right, so this is a GFS model. I just want to look at the wind gust. Ooh, wait, what's this? They added this. What's this? Ooh, they added radar plus satellite. What? Oh, just lightning strikes. You guys can hear the little popping. Actually, you can't. I have it muted. Wow, I didn't know Windy had this. This is something new. Ooh, can I change it? Oh, look at that. You can have infrared, visible, and blue satellite imagery. Oh, you can turn them on and off too. So there's just radar, there's just satellite, there's radar, satellite. Sweet. That's a look at Ernesto here. We don't have the best radar coverage. You know, it only goes till this ring here. So the whole tropical storm isn't inside the Barbados's radar coverage here. But you could very clearly see we have some quite decent thunderstorms around the centered low pressure out here. I don't know exactly where the low pressure is. It's probably generally, this is very general, right out in this area. You know, we have some convection to the north, convection to the south. Really not anything overly impressive. I don't see any type of, you know, this is going to intensify to a hurricane look at all. So I'd be very surprised if we wake up to anything stronger than a tropical storm tomorrow or over the next few days. I just don't see this thing strengthening that much until north of Puerto Rico. And I've said that very frequently throughout yesterday's stream. I'll say it again today too, because it just doesn't seem likely. I know the HWRF model has a hurricane landfall on the eastern side of Puerto Rico. I really don't see a hurricane making landfall in Puerto Rico. I don't know what the NHC is forecasting for landfall. They are forecasting a... Turn on the track really quick. They're forecasting a 60 mile per hour landfall. So that's actually right around what Debbie made landfall as in South Carolina near a week ago. That is, I believe, what is a category 1? 74. So technically, because of the advisory, 75. They do every 5 miles per hour. So yeah, that's 15 shy of a category 1 hurricane. It's in the northern convection. So it's somewhere in here. You know what? I might have the cone. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's where the NHC has the low pressure being right now. So, of course, this is an hour and 26 minutes ago. So it's a little bit more west. It's somewhere out in this area here. So we're going to continue to see that progress off to the west, moving up to the, eventually starting to take a northwestern turn, then a north turn here, and then eventually start moving northeast. And we should have a very, very close call for Bermuda. That's really the main area I'm concerned about. Puerto Rico is going to have a lot of flooding. There's a really high chance we see some significant flash flooding in Puerto Rico. That's going to be the main story, most likely, of Ernesto for the next few days until it heads up towards Bermuda. I think we can have the simulated rain accumulations here. Yeah, so this is the GFS's simulated rain accumulations. You could see Puerto Rico. It really has it mainly on the western side of Puerto Rico. European model takes it more east. The Icon model takes it more west as well. Now, of course, I would much rather just show you guys the National Hurricane Center's forecast because that's going to be way easier to tell. So here's the NHC's forecast. They have upwards of 8 inches of rainfall occurring out here in southeastern Puerto Rico. It's going to depend very, very much on exactly where Ernesto goes. If it goes more south, all these totals are going to change completely. So we'll just need to monitor the NHC very, very closely, see if they update that track at all. I don't know when our 18Z models start to render in. Hopefully it doesn't completely wipe out all of the model runs like it did yesterday. So yeah, that's about it for your briefing. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We're of course going to continue till the top of the hour. We normally end about 6:50. That's what we'll aim for as well. Let's take a look at the more of this satellite imagery here from Tropical Tidbits. Let's see. Our new GFS just finished rendering, actually. Let's look at that. 18Z. Here is 18Z GFS. So this one just finished rendering on in. Still tropical storm. Ooh, actually might push, barely pushing Cat 1 status for Puerto Rico. Continues up to the northeast. Really, wow, that is just completely stalls to the southwest of Bermuda there. Bermuda would still probably get tropical storm impacts from that. Moves to the west of Bermuda and then actually makes landfall in Nova Scotia on this new GFS model run. That is interesting. That's interesting. The 12Z had a completely quite different scenario from that, making a very low-end tropical storm landfall in Puerto Rico, very gradual strengthening. And then it did have a very small slow down phase, but not a stall southwest of Bermuda. And it actually missed Nova Scotia and then made landfall. I don't know where that is. I don't know what that is. Let's go find out. Newfoundland. Okay, I didn't know Newfoundland was that far to the northeast. Makes landfall in Newfoundland there. Let's see here. Lucky will be briefing for the West Coast audience. Well, I mean, I guess you're not wrong. Does he have his stream set up? That'd be funny. Oh my word, he actually set it up. 10:45 Eastern time. Gracious day. I might as well go to sleep and then wake up again at 10:45. That's a very it's a very late stream. He'll be live for the 11 o'clock advisory though. I mean, at least there's that. If you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and share this stream with family, friends, social media. We're talking about Tropical Storm Ernesto currently. Let's see if we can get satellite imagery on it from here. Aha, we can. So that's Ernesto currently, a couple hundred miles off to the east of the northern Lesser Antilles. Not that impressive. Really just this tiny blob of convection that has tropical storm force wind speeds with it. It will eventually organize very, very slowly, very gradually as it moves up to the west and then eventually the northwest. And then once it passes Puerto Rico and begins that northeastern turn, that's when it's going to start most likely attempting, if not succeeding, at rapid intensification. And then eventually, like I said, moving up very close to Bermuda as well. No direct impacts to Virginia, North Carolina, any of the eastern seaboard. But again, rip currents will most likely be a big issue for the beach areas as we go to the weekend. Welcome, Legacy, to the stream. Carson, Justin. I forget to welcome people who join midstream. Pete, glad to see you guys all in here. Storm Dakota. Hopefully everybody's having a great Monday. Terrible. It's a terrible Monday. Can't wait for tomorrow, which is a Tuesday. I do not like Mondays. I know a lot of people started back school today. The majority, I believe, start back in late August, somewhere around somewhere in the 20s. Somewhere in the 20s. I could go check on this really quick. Yeah, like 19th, 20th, 21st. That's when most people start back, at least from what I've seen. But here in Virginia, most of our schools are already going back, if not already back. Our schools get out very early and start decently early. I consider an early start, like the first week of August. That's when our schools went back. They're already almost a week in. Next Tuesday, so that's a week from tomorrow. So you're starting the 20th? Yep, 20th. August 26th. That's a late one, man. That's a late one. What are you, lucky? That's when Lucky goes back. August 26th. I know some places start back in September. Some places, I don't know exactly where, but I believe I had a friend who starts back in like early September. I think in New York. I can't recall completely. It was either the friend in New York or the friend in Iowa. One or the other. Little different. I'm pretty sure it was someone I'm friends with in New York who starts back in early September. We start December 31st and January 1st. Yeah, that's what you think. That's what you think. I'm glad I'm done with school. Unless I go to college, which don't plan on it yet. Ooh. That's a big tropical wave. I didn't realize how large this thing is. Look at that. That is a large tropical storm. And look at the tiny tropical storm force wind speeds. It's like Ernesto's this very, very large tropical storm, but the actual tropical storm force winds are right there. Tiniest little area here. June 6th? Buddy, my school year, like my last school year, I can't remember exactly, but I believe it went all the way to mid-July. I'm pretty sure it went all the way to mid-July. So, early June, I wouldn't be fussing about that. It might have even been late July, Caleb. I'll have to look back at it, but I was very, very late at getting out. I might have slacked behind. The earliest I've gotten out is May 27th. Yeah. May's normal. Late May, early June's normal. July's crazy. I mean, sure. I'll have to see. Lucky got out mid-June. So, I don't think it's really that crazy. May 16th? Holy cow. May 13th? Oh my goodness. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody getting out on May 13th. That is super early. The main issue in the U.S. over the next few days in terms of weather activity, it may be some severe weather threats. Currently, most of our good severe threats look to be capped out. Basically, they're just not going to be able to fire strong enough thunderstorms in order to be actual severe weather events. If we can get something to fire, we're going to be in big trouble, and it's going to be a massive MCS. But if we get nothing to fire, then it's just going to be literally, we're not going to see much in the wake of severe weather anytime soon. We've got a lot of marginals out. We got a marginal today, 1, 2, 3, 4 different marginals today, all for wind, and then one for hail. Tomorrow we got a bunch of, just a very large marginal out here in the western plains, northern tier of the U.S., and then a marginal back out in South Carolina. This might overperform. I was looking at that on models yesterday as well as today. I don't know if the 18Z's finished. No, they still have the 18Z HWRs glitched over here on College Due page. But that might overperform. I wouldn't fully even rule out a tornado threat there in South Carolina, southwestern North Carolina, especially right in this area where those storms first fire. I would not rule out a tornado whatsoever because it looks like a pretty good environment. So we'll need to keep a close eye on that. That's in South Carolina tomorrow. Then on day 3, we also have another large marginal risk. This one is one that I'm watching very closely. We're going to have a very primed environment in this area here. It's just a matter of if the capping's strong enough to hold thunderstorms from actually becoming robust and strong enough to produce severe weather. So I'm watching day 3 very, very closely, as well as day 4. There's too much uncertainty, but day 4, day 5 looks still at least interesting. But it still seems like they're going to be capped out. I mean, if that capping can't lift, then we're not going to be looking at much of that MCS derecho pattern I was talking about before. Because, I mean, a capping is going to just completely demolish your severe threats. So we'll keep an eye on it. Severe weather is going to be possible this whole week, and we may even have a couple significant days, depending on if that capping can hold or not. Next week, hockey season starts. You won't be as active. Oh, wait, you were active? Okay, buddy. Let me go back over to the National Hurricane Center. I typically do my briefings a little bit later, so I mean, I'm pretty sure most schools get out right around the time frame of like 3 to 4, and then most people are home right around 5. So our normal briefings 5:50 Eastern, 4:50 Central. We might push that back an hour if it works better for the mods as well as other people in chat. I mean, we could push our briefings back to 6:50 as opposed to 5:50. But 5:50 seems to have always worked. Now, coverage streams, that's weather, man. I could be live at 6 a.m. in the morning. I could be live at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I could be live at 11 p.m. at night. Coverage streams are just whenever the storms decide to pop off. But yeah, predictability too low all the way from the day 4 to 8 outlook. That means severe weather is going to be possible for the next week, the next literally whole week from now, Monday, August 12th, all the way until the end of this outlook, Monday, August 19th. So that's a whole week of severe weather potential. Now, the exact area of severe weather is too low to outline, but for day 3, which is Wednesday, the area I'm watching the most Wednesday is here. And then as we go into Tuesday, which I mean, Tuesday doesn't have any outline yet, but Tuesday I'll be watching back out in this area here. Wednesday I'll be watching out in this area. And then Thursday I will be watching out in this area here. And then for the rest of the days, I haven't really looked beyond Thursday. I don't really know what's... Ooh, that timing might have been a little bit off. Yeah, that timing was actually a little bit off. So Wednesday, keep an eye on this area for Wednesday. That's where I'm watching the most because of the high-end ingredients there. Thursday, it's just slightly off to the east. Right here is on Thursday. Friday is more to the east. And then Saturday, I believe, is in the mid-Atlantic. Ooh. Wow, Saturday is the whole trough. So Saturday is actually all where that trough ejection is. So this whole area here, that whole ridging pattern that we'll have to watch for severe weather potential. Saturday looks very widespread, but I'm sure that's going to change a lot. I'm sure that's going to change a lot. But that could be a very more... Not really a concentrated severe weather event, but more of just a, one of those population risks where we have a marginal risk for 40 million some people. So we'll keep an eye on Saturday as well. A couple severe weather days. None look notable at this moment, but that could very, 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 very quickly change. So yeah, we're gonna start closing out our stream here. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. It's greatly appreciated. Share this channel with your family, friends, social media. I appreciate you guys being back in here. We'll be live again tomorrow. Let me see. Yeah, tomorrow we might have a little later live stream tomorrow, so that way we could see this from the, a little bit closer on the, what is that? Barbados? Yeah, Barbados, a little bit closer on the Barbados radar site. But we will be live at some point tomorrow with the, sometime after 5. Sometime after 5 for sure, 5 Eastern. And, yeah, that's going to be about it for this stream. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Just a quick 1-hour briefing. We don't want to stay on here too long unless it's needed. These updates, typically we can get through everything in, 20-30 minutes, but that's too short of a live stream. And oh my goodness.
Warning for northeastern Weld County in northeastern Colorado, Weld County in Colorado.
It's happening. It's all over again. It's yesterday all over again. What the heck? That's crazy. It's yesterday all over again. Wow, you can't make that one up. Holy cow. Literally about to close it out, and then I just hear the beep in the background. I had it muted for you guys because I didn't expect it. But yeah, there's your classic Supercell. I was watching this just 10 minutes ago. Let me look at the environment. If this environment's good, we may stay on here. If not, then it's probably just one of them Colorado looks. Yeah, nah. It's not the best. It is a favorable environment, though, actually. It is a pretty good environment. The lower level jet is very bleh. It's just not there. So that's probably what's going to halt it from actually being able to produce a tornado. But I'll watch that closely. I'll be on standby. If need be, we'll go live for a urgent stream. If this manages to put down a strong tour or not. So I'll watch that closely. It could. I mean, look at that couplet. It's going to try to tighten up right there. This area is also not that populated, but just a heads up, downstream, I mean, this whole area, it's favorable for a brief spin-up tornado. I'll check some models very quickly before I head off just to see if they show this continuing for a while. It has it dying off at 8, so shouldn't be more than a little hour action here. But yeah, if this becomes too much of a tornadic issue, I'll go live for an urgent stream. So make sure you have that notification bell set to all, just in case that does happen tonight. But with that being said, I'll continue to keep a very close eye on this, as I always do. I always watch this stuff, even after I conclude the live stream, and I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you also have shared this with your family, friends, social media, as well as subscribe to the channel with the notification bell set to all. Again, I will monitor for potential urgent coverage tonight. If that does manage to drop a strong tour, I will be right back on here. So yeah, thank you to the mods for Mod Chat, Carson, Caleb, as well as Legacy for Mod and Chat, Pete. Glad to have you guys all in here. I don't know if Chip tuned in. I didn't see Chip, but hey, thanks, Chip, for being a mod in the chat. Always helps. And I will see you guys in the next one, which will be tomorrow. Sometime tomorrow, like I said, after 5 p.m. Eastern. Maybe a little bit of a later stream. I'll decide that tomorrow. And I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. Stay safe. Watch severe weather in the tropics. Goodbye. And Catman for modding chat. Stay safe, watch severe weather in the tropics. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's live stream. Have a great rest of your night. Goodbye.